Qatar Masters Open 2014, played between November 25th and December 5th, 2014. The strongest rated Open tournament ever. It's my understanding in the history of the world. Huge, huge field. Former world champions, dozens and dozens of GMs all over the world. South America, United States, Europe, even all the big players in Russia, including Vladimir Kramnik, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, big players from China, you name it. It's a great tournament. Don't miss any of the action. Games coming up. Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 8 of the Qatar Masters Open 2014. Between the surprise of the tournament, Salem from United Arab Emirates is white. He's under 2,600, which is low for these guys, but really a lot for us. And of course, as black, former world champion Vladimir Kramnik. This guy is a monster. I'll tell you, ever since he lost the tiebreak to Magnus Carlsen, and Carlsen went on to beat Anand the first time from that, I don't think Vladimir's recovered, but I think he has now. I think he's starting to come back up. Now, he did say in one of the interviews that he wasn't looking to go after the world title again, but I'm not so sure. Anyway, let's get to it. It's going to be a Queen's Gambit declined. Salem is white and Kramnik is black. Knight F3. Go through the opening here. Bishop G5. H6. Bishop goes to E7. Pretty standard stuff. Tiny advantage for white. Nothing spectacular. E3. Now that this dark squared bishop is out of the pawn chain, he can go E3. Castles. Rook C1. This is all theory. I have no doubt about that. C5. C takes. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Queen takes and knight takes is about the same. A little bit better on the knight takes, of course. These guys are all following theory. Bishop E2. This is pretty much a standard position. I notice Kramnik's he's kind of like Carlsen in some ways, and what I mean by that is he will grind you down in a just slightly ahead in position or maybe an even position. He will grind you down. Now, if he wins this game, Kramnik is in first place with only one round left. This is round 8. They played 9 rounds. B6, castles, bishop B7, pawn takes, knight takes, knight D4. Get those knights in the middle of the board. Really good job there. What to do? What to do? Computer like B4. Then after the knight moves, knight takes, bishop takes. Now that's really okay too. After knight to D4, knight F5, knight takes, E takes. Now that double pawn isn't really a big deal, to be honest with you. Black's king is more than secure, so is white's. Bishop F3 decides to get rid of the queens. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Like I said, those double pawns are not a big deal. He can always go E4 at any given moment here, and he'll be fine. Rook after D8. King to F1. He's already thinking about the endgame already. Salem. G6 by Kramnik. King E2. He's bringing the king up, knowing that he's going to have to get towards the center of the board here pretty soon. King's a powerful piece in the endgame, as we all know. I've seen it where the power of a king is worth more than a knight or a bishop. King comes up, same thing. Knight comes over. Knight F6. Rook takes. Rook takes. Of course, I wouldn't want to play knight takes, because after rook over here, this pawn goes, and that's really dangerous on the king. B4, get rid of the knight. Knight goes to E6. Rook C6. Kramnik's just trying to get his pieces, and his pieces are in really, really good shape here. They're right in the action. Looks like black's pushed back a little bit. That's not unlike Kramnik. This kid's going for it. He's probably very intimidated by Kramnik, but he's going to go for it anyway. Computer calls for f4, rook to c6, so that was a good move. King to e7. He starts bringing the king back. a3. Kramnik's just sitting on his laurels. He's just waiting. Rook c8. Going to try to get the rook behind the pawns, I think, to cause some damage. a6. Knight has to move. b5. And so he's going after the pawns here. Kramnik goes rook to d6, protecting the pawn. Rook to h8. He's going the other side. Interesting might have been f4. And after rook c6, rook a7, check. King d6. That was the computer's suggestion. After rook to h8, g5. Now we all see the trick. I hope we do well. See it? Why rook can't take. Knight checks here or here. And he loses the rook. So that pawn isn't free. Rook a8. King f6. Rook a7. Looks like Vladimir is just going to grind him out. And, you know, at this point, we're on move 31. I remember watching the game. You can watch it on livestream.com or chess24.com. I believe has it as well. All the rounds with all the video and the commentary. You just have to punch in on Livestream Qatar and the rounds will come up and you just click on it. We're on move 31 and white, Salem, was really, really low on time. He had maybe from move 24, 25, 3 minutes left. Now they have a 30-second increment. So every move you gain 30 seconds. So he's moving quick here, and Kramnik's got plenty of time. King to g6, you can just slowly grind him, moving quickly. Kid's got to think fast. Got to reroute that knight. Knight to d8. King to e1, he's just moving a move, I think, to get to the 40th move. King h5. Tiny advantage here for black. Kramnik's just hanging on, getting his king in a good position, trying to get him eventually to come down here, here, get this pawn. Knight c1, king h4, knight to b3. Now the computer has this right now is dead even. Dead even. If knight had gone e2 instead, then the king would have went to h3. After knight to b3, king. And he has to be careful, too. He doesn't pin himself in too much here. Knight to d4. f4. Rook to a8. I mean, he's basically got seconds left. We're on move 37. King takes. Knight to f5. Rook to f6. Now, what's interesting, the top move on the computer off screen is e4 for white. And oddly enough, it's starting to change a little bit now. Knight to h6, knight to d4. e4 is a mistake. He's got a question mark, but it didn't bring down the score that much, so I don't think he really should have gotten a question mark. Knight to d4 was better, I think. Then after knight to b7, e4 then. We decided to go e4 now. Knight to c6. And slowly the score is creeping up. Rook takes. Rook g6. He makes another mistake according to the computer. King to f1. I don't think that was a bad move at all, frankly. But the computer didn't like it at all. The computer liked a4. And after pawn takes, b5. After king to f1, knight, rook a5, knight takes, rook takes, g4. Now here we are. We have two passers over here, and we have passers here coming down. Who's going to make it first? Rook to d5. Good move. Excellent move there. Keeps the knight out. h5. Here comes the pawns. And this is where, on move 45 now, this is where the young man stumbles. I think it's the pressure of playing Kramnik. This is probably his best tournament result ever. Knight to g3, and that was the error. Knight to e7. Then after rook moves, knight to f5. It's still bad for white, but it's not nearly as bad. After knight to g3, here it comes, h4. What's this kid going to do now? Now it's just technique. Kid had his chance to at least try to draw. Knight to e2. Here come the pawns, g3. F takes. If he doesn't, and he plays knight takes, after g2 check, knight takes, rook takes, king e2, knight g1 check, king f1, and that's it. He's doomed. After pawn takes, it's still bad. b5, doesn't really know what to do. Rook f6, excellent. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. The computer likes h3, but rook to f6 is an excellent move as well. I think all of us would have played rook to h3 if you want, or excuse me, pawn to h3 if you want to know the truth. Rook to f6, forcing the move. Rook takes, pawn takes, and Kramnik had this all worked out. g2 check, king f2, and knight to d4. Beautiful. Beautiful. Hits this pawn, and hits the knight. Knight takes, pawn queens. Knight to g1, knight takes, a4, knight c3, knight f3 check, king h1, a5, h3. There's no way that a pawn's going to queen. And that's where the young man, Salem, from United Arab Emirates, resigns. Great win by Kramnik. It's just the pressure. I think it's in part, the kid was playing really well. He's almost 200 rating points under Kramnik. I think he played a heck of a game. Just the pressure got to him, and he used a lot of time. And so hats off to Salem, but also hats off again for Vladimir Kramnik. And I'm not going to show the game, but Geary lost a heartbreaking endgame, 91 move endgame, which I won't show. That puts Vladimir Kramnik in sole first place by a whole game. Sammy Shanklin from the U.S. is doing very well. He drew today. He's in the hunt as well for second, third place, I think. Oh, a ton of great players here. Anyway, folks, that's the game from round 8. The monster from Russia, Vladimir Kramnik, scores another victory right when he needs it. I want to thank all my new subscribers that have recently subscribed. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.